Okay, it was 186. I think it's important to note the co-governance and co-management arrangements, and I believe the Maunga Authority, the thermal place.
Parakai.
Parakai, thank you very much. And the Reserves Board. Are there others?
Yes, there are. They're reasonably minor in the scheme of things.
Well, I think it's worth noting them. They are significant, and in my eyes, and I think in the eyes of many Aucklanders, they are Māori outcomes. And I know the IMSB have a different point of view, but in my eyes, and when I am sitting there as a Maunga Authority member, I'm there for all Aucklanders, but I'm also cognizant of the legislation, and there's no question in my mind as to who is benefiting, and it is Māori outcomes and outcomes for all Aucklanders there. And I would say in many areas of our work, there's a much greater Māori outcome value than even the 186 that was previously mentioned. And it worries me, Mr. Mayor, that we're starting to slice and dice this. This is a very worrying course that we're starting to embark on when we start to attach monetary value to Māori outcomes. I don't know where we're going with this, but boy, we've significantly increased the budgets to recognise our statutory responsibilities, the very important things we mentioned in the Auckland plan, and we have leapt ahead tremendously. I don't want to see that value eroded. It's been a big lift and a huge acknowledgement that has been made.
Okay, so just in terms of what has been asked for here, and it's fair to say that the issue of defining what could constitute a Māori outcome under both statute and also law, L-O-R-E, as I think probably it's fair to say it's a continuing discussion.
Absolutely, Your Worship. And
I think that should be a mature discussion and could be one that we continue around the forum table every quarter, and we could easily make that an upfront part of the next forum. I think on the basis that the two of them sit side by side, it's evident that there are clear outcomes in S and obviously clear outcomes in T2, but not as easily or as clearly defined as in S. So we could spend quite a bit of time actually trying to define that and sort of expand it. But I think in terms of where we are in this discussion at the moment, it would suffice. I think that Steve actually spent quite a bit of time in discussions on this point. And I'm not sure that's worth getting any further on that. So we're not quite there in terms of an agreement as to how we go forward, but I don't think that should compromise the picture that we've now got. 104 direct and 81 sort of direct and some indirect. I think everyone gets the picture. It's quite a lot. But for the Independent Māori Statutory Board, they have higher expectations, and that's just a part of the ongoing discussion and negotiations.
Yeah.
I think.
If I may add, there is an agreed.
Remember, David.
There is an agreed criteria to measure the Māori transformational shifts, and that's the issue in terms of where that was applied. So it's an ongoing basis. The board did that assessment and came up with 10%. So that's all we're saying is be clear about that now, understand the difference between those, and continue to work at it through those shifts and work through with Stephen and the team.
I think that what is probably missing is, and we're still working to understand this, is a fixed position from this table as to what that position should be. We've basically taken the proposals or the assessment from the Independent Māori Statutory Board and said thank you, and have received and reported on it, but not necessarily debated the rights or the wrongs of it. And, you know, so I think that could be a useful part of discussion at a quarterly, you know, which I think would help to inform the amalgamation of Auckland.
Kia ora, Your Worship.
Okay. S&T, it's moved and seconded. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Thank you. Right, where are we?
So may I just ask, just a clarification, in terms of the other...
Tomorrow.
Do those tomorrow.
Yep. Okay, here we go, fees and charges. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Okay, I think this is a Rodney and Franklin special. 4A. Okay, so you're going to twist our arm. What do we ask for?
Yeah,
And it comes up. While you're waiting for it to come up, maybe I can just speak to it, please, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, absolutely.
Look, I think the guys have done a really good job, but I think there's a basic that's gone wrong in how we worked out the different tiers. I think it would have been better to actually have sort of done it in circles around. So the first thing I'm asking for is for Orewa to drop down into tier 3, because, you know, we're trying to encourage outside dining. This is about small communities and their viability and vitality. This is the world's most livable city, and in some of these areas foot traffic is very limited, and at certain times of the year it's more than others. And some of these areas are also already sort of staggering under the food licensing fee hike that they had to put up with the last couple of years. So what we're asking for is that Orewa, which is really struggling because of the Silverdale, growth in Silverdale, drops down into the tier 3 of the proposed bylaw, and that tier 3 has an exemption on street trading fees for at least 3 years. I just think it's sending a message to the outer areas of Auckland that you sort of understand the issues that they're going through. This would be Wellsford, Helensville, Kumeu, areas in the south, Warkworth. So we're just asking for that at this stage. So I'm happy to move that, and I know that Bill would want to talk to it, speak to it.
Okay, so, and I presume you're seconding it, Bill?
yes, sir.
Yes, he has.
And if I may
Big surprise.
speak very briefly, and, you know, I don't like to be parochial, but in this instance, with the business rate that was in historical existence in Franklin, and with the amalgamation up, these people have faced massive rate increases, and also the other cost increases through fees and charges, and we're not arguing about those, but the cumulative effect is really substantial, and it will be hurting them. So we're just asking for a deferral for a couple of years to do some more investigation around the tier 3 areas, and just to take out some of the heat from those accumulative effects and allow them time to transition through to be in a better place. These small towns and settlements, and it's not just Pukekohe and Waiuku, it's all little wee tiny villages as well, and the little coastal communities, and it adds something really special to them. And those businesses are often very small and tenuous, and they just need the opportunity. What I'd hate for this to do would be the straw that broke the financial camel's back, and I just don't think it's worthwhile for the amount of money that we're talking about, which I understand is around 100K, to do that. So I think it would be a sign of goodwill, good gesture, and understanding that the city is, in fact, a very diverse unit in these modern times.
Okay. So, got a little bit of a batting line up here at the moment. I've got Councillor Denise and then Councillor Cullen.
I just wanted to confirm that 100K figure, Councillor Cashmore, so that's what the sum total would be of
Lost revenue.
loss of revenue for the tier 3 freeze.
Yes, around 130,000 for the Tier 3 freeze, although that would also capture not just the cafes
annum.
that you were referring to, it would also potentially capture the mobile vendors or mobile shops as well.
Not many of them.
What do
If
you
you were
mean
just
by
looking at the,
Potentially would capture them.
but it would capture them.
So
If you
it's
just
tier
wanted,
three
if you
and
just, if
mobile
you just
vendors.
wanted to freeze the cafes, which is what how you express the discussion, then that would only cost $45,000. But freezing Tier 3 wouldn't deal with the Orewa who's in Tier 2.
No, well, that's
The
A
second
is
motion.
dropping it.
So the cafes are 45K and the rest of it is mobile vendors.
Yes.
Okay, councillor Cowell?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Look, I just want to support my colleagues on this. I think this is a pretty good step. The team's done some really good work in their street trading and fees and charges. But this is just one I think that has some a little level of concern. And we're talking about, like we spoke about yesterday, places like Te Hana and Wellsford and Warkworth and Orewa and, you know, as Bill said, Pukekohe and Waiaku, and I suppose you can look at Clevedon eventually, and all those out west, there's all those smaller villages that sort of just need a little bit of support to kickstart them, to get them into outdoor dining and really promote it. Look, you know, we do a fair bit into the CBDs and the metropolitan areas, but I just think this will just give them a wee bit of relief for a couple of years to get them up and really roaring. Mr. Chair.
Excuse me, is the intention of, is that B up there, is that to exclude not just from the rental, but from the licence fee as well, or did you just want it for the rental?
The rental.
Rental,
Just the
sorry.
rental, so B should be Tier 3 has an exemption for 3 years on the street trading rental,
Rental.
Rental,
rather than
yeah.
fees.
Sorry.
What's,
The average fees for someone in Tier 3 would be 200 a year.
what's the effect on revenue though? Is it much?
No, it's 45.
1,000.
So the rental's 200.
Yeah.
Member Glenn?
Yeah, does this cut out Mr. Whippy as well?
That was about the most unique question I've ever heard.
He had a special licence fee
Who's at home,
as a
Glenn?
mobile vendor.
I'm just asking that because I just want to know.
So
I've left
Better not.
I just asked, do you want
Better
to?
be not dealing to
I
Mr.
reckon.
Whippy. This is serious stuff.
Mr. Whippy's left over.
Mr. Whippy will be paying a licensing fee.
Yeah.
If you include, so you wanted to include both mobile vendors and cafes, so both groups. So Mr. Whippy operating in Tier 3 wouldn't, he wouldn't have to pay a rental, but he'd still pay a licence fee.
Yeah.
All Whippy drivers vote for Glenn.
No, my daughter does that.
You do that on the way back from the library.
Okay, any other questions on this matter? Councillor Chris?
So just clarification, I want to get my head around 3. You said that is a loss of revenue of the net per annum and for 10 years? I'd like both.
Well, the proposal is for 3 years.
Oh, sorry, for 3 years.
So for 3 years, 130,000 a year, so it'd be about 390,000.
That's sitting with B.
Yes.
Yeah.
Moving Orewa into Tier 3, I'm not sure how much that would cost.
And that is a significant amount, members. That is a significant amount. That has a big impost on these budgets.
That's what I was concerned about.
I'm concerned about that, and I do point out and remind members that there is a tier system there that has been extremely well considered. We've thrashed this out at earlier workshops, and I think it's pretty late to bring. I can live with Orewa coming out. I've looked at the maps and I've looked at what's in 2 and 3, shifting it to 3. I can live with that, but I am very, very much struggling with giving relief to Tier 3. Remember, Tier 3 is $20 a square.
Average $200 a year.
Average $200 a year. And I remind you, just as I reminded you, I think yesterday, there's businesses that are doing most of their business in the street in the summer period. There is tremendous upside for them, and they're using our public domain. They're sharing it with pedestrians and many others, and we are the ones that are upgrading it, we're making it better. I think this has got to be about some cooperation and partnership. And look, I've been really trying to restrain myself in adding stuff to this budget, because it's tight, it's tough. You know, we had I've heard a lot of members talk about the need to exercise restraint in adding things, and I think we have to be very careful here. Tier 3 is $20 a square metre. Out of $20 a square metre, maybe 3 or 4 square metres gives you a couple of tables on the street. You can do a lot of retail through that. Maybe it's the opportunity for those retailers to be a bit more efficient. Instead of taking 5 square metres, they do 3 square metres, and they live with that. But I'm urging you not to support B. I'll support A, hear that one, but let's not go to B. That's going to have it's going to be quite a serious impost on the budget. If you throw that one in and all the other wish list ones, you've got quite a number.
Councillor Cam.
Well, I just fear, Mr Chairman, that Councillor Cashmore's probably trying to micromanage here. And there's, certainly from Councillor Webster, there seems to be quite a lot of parading in front of the cameras on this. And I would just ask for them to think of the bigger picture.
You're going to tip us off.
And to look at the future on this, and it's all about standardisation. It's only $2 a week if we're looking at, or $4 a week, if whatever it is, $200 per business. And so I think we just have to be pretty courageous on this. So I asked Councillor Cashmore to stop the attention seeking, stop the micromanaging, and do it for Auckland.
A right of reply, Mr Mayor, right of reply.
Yeah, okay.
I'm happy with that. I'd support A, but not
The
B.
glibness aside, that was quite a compelling argument.
Was.
Councillor John.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, a bit hard to follow such a moving Winston Churchill
Please.
speak. I think the thing that's maybe not quite getting captured here is also the extent of perception. So, you know, there are, you know, a lot of those businesses that are really struggling to get by, and what's not picked up here are the little businesses that are back off the main street too, and some of these smaller centres, where the foot traffic rather is really negligible, and that's why I did question yesterday, you know, the putting in, you know, particularly Ori or anyway in with Newmarket and places like that. So certainly the bid people would say that definitely will have an effect on those people back a bit too, because they're not on the main street, and you know, there's that perception that, gee, this is something else for people who are struggling too, and I don't know if that's, in some respects, if that's worth it. I hear what Councillor Darby's saying, but you know, this is going from nothing to something in a number of these areas, so that's why I'll certainly be supporting these, albeit reluctantly.
Councillor George.
Well, I actually concur with what Councillor Darby says here. You know, you've got the situations where you've got malls and privately owned areas where the use of outdoor space is kind of part of the rental that the shop pays, whereas if they use the street footpath, the council still has the duty of providing that space, and I think to relinquish this income would be not in our best interest, because, you know, what Councillor Watson's saying may be right, but these people make the conscious decision to actually go out and use that space of a footpath. So I can't support B like my colleague Councillor Cooper. Thank you.